And we have huge amounts of misinformation that's out there. The misinformation that Omicron is mild, misinformation that the pandemic is over, misinformation that this is the last variant that we will have to deal with. This is really causing a lot of confusion that's out there.
Very often see with viruses is a form of what is known as antigenic drift. In other words, a virus enters the human body and it effectively evolves. The virus that eventually that's transmitted on is slightly different, because as the virus divides, as the virus reproduces itself, there are errors in reproducing its code. Most of those errors result in a virus that's either not competent or just dies away. And just occasionally, that virus that's passed on has an advantage in transmission or an advantage. And it's just evolution in action. The same virus going into a body, coming out slightly different. That's called drift. And over time, that can generate new variants over a long number of transmissions between hundreds and hundreds of different people. Recombination occurs when two viruses infect the same person or the same animal. And what you then have is not just errors in transcription. What you have is effectively two viruses can exchange large amounts of genetic information, and you effectively get a new virus out the other end. Most of those viruses, because of the huge change in the code, are not viable. They're not competent. They're not very good at infecting the next human. But just occasionally they are. And that is how we generate pandemics of influenza. It's through viral recombination that it's called antigenic shift versus antigenic drift. So very often recombination is the way in which we get pandemics of influenza. So we have to be very cautious, as Maria says. We have to watch these recombinant events very, very closely. And we have to, and again, we're back to the argument, the best way to do that is to track the virus. The best way to do that is ensure that people, number one, are vaccinated, that people who get the disease are treated and don't have prolonged infections, and that we prevent and manage the reverse infection of large animal groups to allow that kind of recombination to happen. We can manage many of these risks, but the risk will continue, and there needs to be monitoring of that risk, and it needs to go on for a very long time.